Hello and welcome to exam questions on organisation. So organisation is a huge topic within biology because it encompasses humans, it's obviously cells and humans and plants. Okay, so we'll get started on some exam questions. Okay, so it says draw this plant cell in the box below. Label 3 parts of this cell. So I'll give us a bit more spacing. Let's turn my pen on. In the exam, you're given quite a big box, but I'm just going to draw it over here so it's a bit easier for us to see. So it's doing green for a cell. So plant cell, you need to make sure we know what we're talking about first. It's a plant cell. So we're going to have chloroplasts. We're going to have cell walls and things. So let's draw the approximate shape of it. It's quite angular. Yeah, like this. Okay. So we have 3 parts. So we need to draw every single part. Okay, so we've got a cell wall here. That's what I'd go for. It's angular like that. It's a cell wall. So in the middle, this middle bit, nucleus. Remember, it's a plant cell. It's got a nucleus. So we look at all these little parts. They're chloroplasts. If we forgot that, all cells have a cytoplasm. If you look very closely, actually, you can see that actually just inside is actually got a double layer, isn't it? Okay, if we look carefully inside, that's a cell membrane. You sort of see it there. It's got this sort of a dividing bit there. So that's a cell membrane. So yeah, you have to make sure that we draw and label at least 3 parts. I've drawn more than 3 there, obviously to help you, but I'm sure most people would be okay, and they think these 3 there. There's nothing really different to what you're used to doing. Okay. Carbon dioxide is carried in blood plasma. Human blood also contains red blood cells and white blood cells. Explain how the structure of red blood cells and white blood cells is related to their function. So we're not comparing them here, because it looks like we're going to compare. I'm going to do red blood cells and red, a bit of fun. Let's talk about red. I mean, I'm not going to write white, but oh, my pen sort of size to, yep, there we go. So red blood cells. Let's think about what they look like. So I always think they look a bit like a squashed Babybel cheese. So they're kind of, if you looked at it side on, they've got a dip in the middle. So that's a side view, or like a bone in the middle. If you look at them from above, they're kind of round with it with like a dimple in the middle. So it's like a dent in it, or dimple. Okay, so structure. So again, so it's absolutely fine to draw things in the exam. So if you've got whatever space you've got here, so you draw them. I'm only drawing over here obviously so you can see it clearly, but draw them. Okay, so all right, so dimple. So you see side view. So I would draw these like I have here in the exam. Okay, people can see immediately what you're talking about. Okay, right, so have no nucleus. That's another one. Okay, to allow them to have a greater surface area to collect and bind to oxygen. So remember, the red blood cell's job is to carry oxygen in the blood. And they contain hemoglobin to bind, that makes them the red colour, to bind to oxygen to make oxyhemoglobin. Okay. They also, so this is the one that's in the picture. Sometimes that's actually called a biconcave. I'm going to be precise. Biconcave, it means it dips in inwards. So concave shape for greater surface area. It's all about a big surface area for these. So this is just to reiterate. So red blood cells, job, function, function is a better word, is to carry oxygen in the blood. Okay, right. So let's go on to white blood cells. So no, blue close to being. So we get two types of white blood cells. Okay, and they are part of the immune system. I'm a bit from my pen. I have to keep writing in red if it doesn't work. That's all right, got it now. Right, so white blood cells. So they are for immune response. Okay, two types as well. Right, so immune response. So let's divide them. So the phagocytes are one type. Let's put a divide down the middle. And lymphocytes. Sites. Or we mean cell sites. So phagocytes. So they're kind of like they're big, and they have ability to engulf pathogens. So large ability to engulf, so kind of like eat, engulf pathogens and kill them. So lymphocytes don't really look anything special too much, but produce antibodies and antitoxins. So the antibodies, so if it was a coronavirus, okay, so this cell would produce antibodies that would look like little T shapes, okay, which would bind or stick. And then the phagocyte would recognize that as invading pathogen, and it would engulf it, okay, to fight pathogens. Antitoxins often to stop bacteria that produce toxins, to stop them damaging the body too much. So yeah, so I'd recommend drawing as much as you can, okay, because it's much easier to draw it than write lots and lots of writing on it. I've seen lots of mark schemes, lots of exams. It says a drawing which you can understand, give them whatever marks, so you can understand what they're. So a label diagram will get you lots of marks, okay. Right, so you've got figure 1 shows a diagram of the heart. Let's have a look. Okay, so right atrium. So it's a bit like, I always think, when you look at a heart, it's like you're doing an operation, okay, on someone else's heart. It's not your own one. You're doing an operation, or you're like Dr. Frankenstein, and you put a heart in to Frankenstein, okay, and like you're on the operating table, okay. And so we've got the right atrium is on this side because it's the person or on the table, okay. So we've got deoxygenated blood on this side and oxygenated blood. So this side is a bit thicker, as well. If you notice, that's why the heart is uneven, okay, because one side pumps to the body, one side only has to get to the lungs, and you can tell that this thicker side has to get to the body, okay. So let's have a look here. It says draw arrows on figure 1 to show how oxygenated blood moves through the heart. So pulmonary vein. The word pulmonary means from the lungs. I'm just doing red because I'm going to do oxygenated. Okay, pulmonary means lungs. Okay, pulmonary. So it's coming in. Remember, veins go into the heart. It's coming from the lungs. Where lungs where we get oxygen. From the lungs. Down. Pumped up here to the body. Okay, this is the thicker side. Okay, so draw arrows to show oxygenated blood. Okay, so that's all we had to do. Let's have a think about what. So pulmonary vein. Okay, let's have a go. So if that's to the body, that's aorta, then, isn't it? Okay, so told that. So this is the pulmonary artery. Okay, and this is the vena cava. Okay, it's good just to practice, practice doing in case obviously you asked to label it, which often you are asked to label it. Okay, let's have a look. Valve V, valve T. So let's have a look. We're going to be asked. We've done that question. So it says, what happens when the right ventricle contracts? Right ventricle. Right, this is the right ventricle. Ventricle is the bottom one, top's the atrium. Atrium means hallway in Latin. So the top bit you come in is the atrium. Often it's called atrium now. I don't need to go into the atrium, as you still call it that. Right, so let's have a think. So when right ventricle contracts, okay, so you're about squeezing, that with your hand, that's going to contract. Okay, so that wants to push blood up here. Okay, it's going to the lungs. So let's have a see what's going to happen. So it says right ventricle, blood valve T opens. If it opens, blood's going to come back. Okay, so we know. Valve T closes, possibly. Blood is forced into the left atrium. Well, we can't really do that, can it? Because it can't really go directly, can it? Blood is forced into the pulmonary vein. Well, it can't because, again, it's the other side of the heart. So really, that one. Okay, you could do it by elimination a little bit as well, because that has to close. That valve has to close to allow the blood to go up into the pulmonary artery. If it's pumping it that way. You can see the direction of the blood. So be careful with the arrows, because it's giving you some clues as to what it's doing anyway. Right, so draw one straight line from each structure. So one, not do multiple. I know I've only made that mistake a few times. One straight line from each structure. So pulmonary vein. Right, we labelled that. Oh, no, we labelled for a pulmonary, it's from the lungs. Okay, carries the oxygenated blood. No, carries blood towards body organs, that's the aorta. Carries blood from the lungs to the heart. Good. It's that one. I ticked it. Yeah. Okay. Right, left ventricle. We just talked about that, didn't we? Left ventricle, so it's going to the body. Okay, forces blood towards body organisms. So it's good we labelled that so we had a better idea of what to do. There we go, done that. Remember, the left side of the heart is always like the thicker side, it's going to the body. And that's like that one we saw quite a good diagram, we saw it was bigger. All right, figure 2 shows a dissected vein. Explain how the valves and veins help the blood at low pressure flow towards the heart. Right, so arteries, the one under high pressure, they're coming out of the heart to everything else, okay? And veins are going back. So valves, so these things can open and close, so they can come together as well. So the blood's going that way. Okay, so valves close so it's all about sort of when blood is at low pressure. So it sort of pumps if it goes through the valve and then it's not under any pressure. So clouds close when blood is at low pressure after a heart beat or pump to prevent blood flowing backwards. Okay, yes, to prevent blood flowing backwards. Okay, so they close, okay, and keep it moving forwards. The equipment used to dissect the vein was cleaned and put in disinfectant. Statewide, this equipment is put in to kill pathogens. So obviously, that vein could have pathogens on it, couldn't it? Okay. So figure 17 shows a diagram of the skin. Explain how structuring the skin helped to reduce body temperature during hot weather. Aha, so we've had hot weather here. I live in England for quite a long time now. So structuring the skin. So you've got a few different things here. Hair, got nerves, got a gland, got muscle, got blood, capillary. So let's start with hair. So that's the obvious one here. So hair, when it's hot, what does hair do? So hair lies close to the skin. Okay, so think about when you're cold, it stands up to trap air. So to not trap air. Okay, so what else happens? So let's have a think about the glands, the sweat glands. So sweat glands, this is done by muscle. I'm going to put here. So the muscle attached does this. It's shown that, so we better talk about it. Muscle attached moves hair. Sweat gland produces sweat. Sweat's actually just pretty much water to lie on surface of skin. To evaporate and take away the heat from skin. Think about the last one. Okay, so we've got capillary there. So capillary. So vasodilation happens. So vasodilation. So the blood flows closer to the skin surface. That's why you go red if you get hot. To skin surface. To allow blood to lose heat to the surroundings. Okay. Got 3 things and we've mentioned what they do, so that's okay for 6 marks. Okay, so the organisation also got plants as well. It's a really big subject, organisation. And there might be another video, okay, on the exam questions, there's lots of them. So figure 18 shows the leaves and flowers of the water lily plants, white and green for the plants, okay, on a lake. Water lilies have stomata on the upper surface of leaves. Explain why water lilies have no stomata on the lower surface of leaves. So stomata, okay, are holes, so this is like the leaf surface. Okay, that's the bottom of the leaf. This is stomata. So stomata is literally the hole, and these little cells here are called guard cells. These open and close the stomata. Okay, so explain all this. No stomata on lower surface of the leaves. So stomata's job is to lose water by transpiration and gas exchange. So it gives you a big clue that water lilies are asked about, not like a rose, is it, in the garden? So obviously the lower part of the leaf, lower surface, is underwater. So the stomata could not undergo gas exchange or transpiration. Okay, it's only 2 marks there. Okay, the white petals of the water lily flowers cannot photosynthesize. Which structure in leaf cells is a site of photosynthesis? So it's not the nucleus because it contains information. The vacuole stores cells. That mitochondrion is the respiration. So it's a chloroplast. We talked about it earlier, didn't we? Glucose is made by photosynthesis. Glucose is converted to another sugar to be transported in the plant. What is the name of this sugar? Okay, so glycerol, ribose. So starch is a storage, isn't it, in the plant? So glycerol, that's to do with humans. So down to sucrose or ribose. So let's have a think. So ribose, okay, is sugar found. So you might, sorry, sucrose, I mean, sorry, is a sugar found in supermarkets and things. I think about what that might be. So got ribose. It's to do with DNA and things. I'm trying to describe it. We might have done it at this level. So sucrose, okay, is what they often call it a natural sugar, and that is the one that is mostly found in plants. But there are other sugars for that. Okay, so that cane sugar, yeah, sometimes called sucrose. Okay, it's produced naturally in plants. Okay, describe how the sugar is transported from the leaves to the flowers of the water lily. So I did a video on plant organisation, so it's got a bit more detail there. So transport occurs in the phloem. Oh, it's spelled with an F. Phloem. By translocation. So they want 2 key words there. It's not transpiration because that's water. So transport occurs in the phloem by translocation. I'd say through the stem. Okay, so thank you for listening. Hope to see you in another video, and good luck with your exams.